Hey there, my name is James Lee and welcome to my channel 5149, where I share my thoughts about business, politics, and whatever else might be on my mind. Lately, because of the elections and everything, it's been a lot of politics, and this week we'll continue with that trend by talking about our Vice President-elect, Kamala Harris, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's first start with the good. I think of Kamala Harris as somewhat of a flawed trailblazer, but a trailblazer nonetheless. She will be America's first female, first black, and first South Asian vice president. Visually, she stands in pretty stark contrast with all of our previous vice presidents, and I think this is a fact that has to be celebrated because it shows real, tangible progress for a country that has often failed to deliver on its melting pot promise. And for minorities and for women, groups who are underrepresented in government, as this Instagram post alludes to, I'm sure it's super cool to see someone who looks like you in a position of power. This has real long-term positive implications as it inspires more women to run for office, according to a study conducted by Colorado University and Notre Dame. So for those reasons, I think we have to take a brief moment, as many have done on social media, to celebrate the achievements of Kamala Harris. Putting identity aside though, I'm not sure she has much more to offer to the American people, which takes us from the good to the bad. Now, Kamala Harris is about to assume the second highest office in America. With Joe Biden being the way he is, she's also more or less the de facto future leader of the Democratic Party establishment, with a very good chance of being the party's next presidential candidate. The problem is that she has no real vision for America. This was evident in her failed bid for president that saw her drop out before a single vote was even cast. Now, CNN is usually pretty horrible at political analysis, but I think they got it right when they said that in trying to be everything, Harris wound up to many Democratic voters to stand for, well, not much. And that is a political loser every time. Beyond that, it's not just that she doesn't stand for anything other than the pursuit of power, it's that she just isn't a genuine person, and people don't really like that. I know I'm going to catch a lot of flack for saying that because there is this narrative that women in politics are judged with a double standard. And I think that's true in a lot of cases, but to me, I don't think it quite explains why she wasn't successful in her campaign for president. Let me play you this clip from years ago when she was the Attorney General in California and was asked about her future political aspirations.
You know, your star continues to rise. Just last week, you were at the White House when Prime Minister Cameron from Great Britain was here. You're on international programs. What do you see for your future? I mean, all politicians have to keep thinking about that.
Well, it's raining outside right now, and I hope to stay dry through the weekend, and I'm thinking about my future about that far ahead.
Okay, that's weird, right? She's asked about her political aspirations, and she chooses to answer by talking about the weather outside. To me, that's why she comes across as disingenuous. She could have easily said something about finding ways to give hardworking people more opportunity, fixing healthcare issues, fixing infrastructure issues. So many things she could have said. She even could have said that she would like to run for higher office, but instead she decided to go with not getting wet from the rain outside. I mean, it just makes no sense. If I've read this wrong, please reach out to me and let me know. And this lack of honesty, lack of empathy is a big liability for the Democratic Party going forward. Part of being a leader is having the ability to build a coalition of support from people who might look and think a little differently than you. Joe Biden was fortunate enough to be able to accomplish this in 2020 because he's literally the luckiest presidential candidate in history. He didn't really have to campaign, and Trump kept shooting himself in the foot with his incendiary rhetoric and abysmal handling of the coronavirus. Moving forward though, because of how polarized our society has become, you can't just run on empty platitudes or identity. According to Pew Research, only about 1 in 5 Trump and Biden supporters say that they share the same American core values or goals. Instead, you have to have some tangible ideas of how to help better the lives of Americans, which ultimately takes our discussion from the bad to the ugly. Now, because Kamala Harris has no cohesive ideas for the future, we have to examine her past record to show how she might govern in the future. She served as San Francisco's district attorney from 2004 to 2011, where, to give her some credit, she pledged to never impose the death penalty, defying the city's police department and Democratic leaders, but at the same time, she also began prosecuting parents of habitually truant students, calling the issue of students skipping school tantamount to a crime, even amid criticism that the policy disproportionately targeted low-income people of color. She later served as the Attorney General of California, where she opposed marijuana legalization when black people in California were 4 times more likely to be arrested than white people for a marijuana-related offense, and black and Latino people made up nearly 2/3 of all marijuana arrests in the state. So in many ways, she's hurting the people she claims to represent. And as a senator of California, Roll Call wrote that the legislative record of Kamala Harris shows a loyal Democrat and Trump counterpuncher, and that she has voted with fellow Democrats 99% of the time. I know this article was meant to paint Kamala Harris in a positive light as an effective resistor to President Trump, but what I see instead is that at her core, she's just a standard establishment Democratic operative who doesn't have any desire to stray from the official party line. A party who Andrew Yang, I think, rightly characterized as a party of coastal urban elites who are more concerned about policing various cultural issues than improving a way of life that has been declining for years. The fact is, she won't really bring about any of the structural change that I believe many voters are looking for. I do believe that many voters in this country truly want to see a more just and a more fair America. Unfortunately, the answer doesn't lie in Kamala Harris. But to end on a positive note, it might lie in the many who have been inspired by Kamala, people who might choose to enter politics, whether it be through activism or running for elected office, people who hopefully will be principled enough to shoulder the burden and withstand the sacrifices necessary to drive real change. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know what you think about Kamala Harris. Also, if you enjoyed my video, please support my channel by liking and subscribing, but more importantly, sharing it with your friends and family so we can grow the 5149 community together. My name is James Lee, and as usual, I like to end the video by thanking you for your time. I'll see you next week.